Welcome back from the break. This is Green Pastures, a show that aims to give hope and motivate people. I am your host, Daisy Atino, and once again, welcome. Before we went on a break, we were talking to our guest in studio, Mr. Salif Jambok, and he was just telling us a bit about how he ended up moving to Uganda. Mr. Salif, once again, welcome back to the show.
Thanks a lot, Daisy.
I hope you're having a great time.
Oh, yeah. It's always nice to share.
Okay, that's great. So let's just go back to where we are. So you said you ended up moving to Uganda.
Yeah. So, like I said before, we were talking to Dad. Okay. So, of course, now once that is ironed out, at some point you're like, okay, look, Nairobi has reached a point where it's not working anymore. Yeah. You're not in school, you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Is it okay? You come to this side, try and see if we can work things out.
Okay.
And I was down. I went to Uganda. So the first time I went was 2018.
Okay.
It was a pretty relaxed time.
Okay.
I think we got a chance to really bond with my dad because my dad, the nature of my dad's work was documentary. He was a documentary filmmaker. So when he was not working on a project, he'd just be at home.
Nice.
Maybe, or during that period where he's editing and everything. So, I mean, we got a chance to hang out, you know. We'd sit and have those conversations that I really wanted to have as a little kid. So we grew close, you know. We'd sit on the porch. Sometimes he'd get his drink there, you know. Sometimes we'd go for, they call it muchomo in Uganda. Yeah, the pork, you roast stuff out there. And it was good. So we go through that, and I had to come back to Nairobi.
Oh, why was that?
The place where I was staying, when I went to Uganda initially, I was supposed to go on a short holiday.
Okay.
Short,
like
2 weeks in December, be back in January. I was coming back in April.
Okay.
So meaning that the bed seat I was staying in still had its things inside there and the arrears for the 4 months that I was not there.
Okay.
So at this point it had gotten bad because they were going to the cops and everything. So I'm like, hey, let me just come, sort that out, then we proceed.
Okay.
Of course, when I came back here, now that one, it became a crisis in itself. I had to rally different people around to help me pay that amount.
Yeah.
But we settled it.
Okay.
But now I realized I couldn't go back immediately.
Oh, back to Uganda.
So a bit, I did my own things during that period of time.
Okay.
Worked, I did several jobs.
Yeah.
Delivered parcels. I ended up working in marketing for a club in Westlands.
Yeah.
I worked as a tour guy in Mombasa a bit. Just changing jobs. Whatever comes that can give you something to survive, you survive. And then I ended up now moving. And because at some point I wanted some kind of independence, I left home. I was staying with an uncle of mine in Donholm.
Okay.
Thank you to you, Uncle Philip. And I ended up now moving to places like, I stayed a bit in Sabasaba, in Kayole. And then now I went back to Uganda in 2019.
So you went back more as like life in Nairobi wasn't working out, and you're like, let me just go back home.
Oh, yeah.
Was it kind of like that?
So the second time I was going back, I had been, I think that period had actually like really messed with my head and my mental health. Okay. One, because after I came back from Uganda, I really realized, how before I was saying that it was tricky that I had the friends and the little family.
Yeah.
Now I did not even have that. Like I was more or less
by yourself.
Yeah, and I really felt like I was alone. I had also been, when I was looking for these different jobs, now I experienced life as a man, boy child, how you're treated in this country when you're trying to make a living. So I went back when I was pretty defeated. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I actually had gone there just to, I'm like, either if school is a possibility, then let's work towards school.
But in Uganda now.
Or if that's not a possibility, then let us do whatever from there. I would rather even go with my dad to carry that camera than continue staying under these conditions. It's as if I don't have a house.
Okay.
Or it's as if I don't have a family.
Life was that difficult?
I actually did. I remember saying that I feel like I'm living like an orphan.
Yeah.
Which is very sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's true.
Okay. So when you come back to Uganda a second time, you feel defeated. You feel like it's basically like you're looking for a second chance. What did you find? What was the situation when you came back the second time?
So apparently now I did not know what was happening in Uganda when I was away.
Okay.
You remember I told you I couldn't go back because
Yeah.
Dad told me just, stay put.
Okay.
But he told me stay put without telling me what's going on. So when I got back, and of course that has its implications once again, because it takes me, you remember what I was telling you before, that I had to stay guarded because I didn't know what you're going to say and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I had to, like, when I get there, I found it different. First, my dad was drinking way more, like way more. And the house was different. The vibe was different.
Yeah.
There was a darkness inside our home that I just could not explain. And, now I'm coming from a place that was also dark.
So it's not...
So by the time I come here in the hopes that, this will be a reprieve for me, or at least a relief for me, it turns out to be the opposite.
Yeah.
So my pops was struggling with this thing, or maybe he did not know, but yes, I was affected by how he was drinking.
Okay.
Mostly because he'd come home, and it was a repeated thing, yeah. So I'd experienced this every day.
Oh, wow.
Meanwhile, like, I cannot move from the house. I can't go out. It's not like Kenya. Kenya, I'd go see a friend.
Oh, like the freedom to do what you wanted.
I don't have freedom. And also, I don't have the friends who can even help me, bail me out in terms of, like, if I had a friend here, you can ask for 100, 200, you can move.
Yeah.
Your life does not get stuck. But when you're in a foreign country, first of all, the minute you leave your house, it reminds you, it hits you in your face that, look, this is not home.
Yeah.
And I was stuck there. So I'd just be home. Pops would come and he's acting crazy. Sometimes stuff has happened to him.
Yeah.
And, all this time, like, everything that I'd been holding, I had not grieved my mom.
Yeah.
I'm carrying all this weight as a young guy.
You went through the millionaire phase.
You're a millionaire, now you're flat broke, you're living in the middle of, you were sleeping on balconies and whatnot. So all that stuff is in my head. It's so much pressure. You don't have, and unfortunately, I did not have an outlet. Like, at that time, I couldn't even make music. Yeah, artists sometimes experience that. I can't be creative because the point of sadness is so much that I don't even feel like I can't sing. I can't do anything.
Yeah, so this is 2019, you're in Uganda.
So 2019 was a really, really dark part of my life because,
How was school at that point? Were you in school?
No. Actually, from the time I had left USIU,
that is 2017?
That's 2017.
Up to 2019?
No, I'd done a brief bit in 2017 at KU.
Oh.
Which was cut off by a strike before I went to Uganda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was called to do law at KU.
Okay.
So at that time, remember when I was telling you that USIU looked like it was a bit costly, so I decided to go this other side. But still, after being cut off by the strike, basically I never went back to school again. So that was also weighing heavy on me.
Okay.
And I understood, to some extent I understood, because it was driven by money. It's that the nature of my dad's job is consultancy.
Yeah.
You work on project basis.
Yeah.
So if you do a project for somebody, they expect it to pay you by a certain period of time.
Yeah.
But let's say the projects now just stop happening.
It can affect
fees you've planned for, debts you've taken, all that thing. So it becomes a headache. So I understood that, but at the same time, because of the things I was going through, I found myself lashing at my dad. So it became trauma. It's fight or flight.
Yeah.
So it's either now I just distance myself from people, and when I would be with people, it would now be confrontational. It would be, like I remember with my brother and with people inside the house. At that time, my sister was not living with us. She was staying in the north.
Yeah.
So and those are the things I actually find out. Like, I have another bigger family in this side.
Yeah.
Guys who are coming from a very different perspective than I am. And I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
There's no tutorial on this kind of thing, on how to become an elder brother when you're so used to being by yourself.
Child,
So certain things you're like, hey, kumbe, I need to do this or I need to do that. But the thing I actually feel that didn't work out that time is that I felt like I wasn't so much of a big brother to them.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I wasn't in the headspace to do it.
Okay.
I was so down. So that persisted throughout 2019. 2020 comes in.
Fast forward to 2020, the year of COVID.
Yeah, COVID happens. Uganda had a very intense lockdown.
Yes.
But even before we get to that,
Yeah.
my dad had been laboring this year,
Yeah.
rather the previous year, 2019, to ensure that I go to school.
Yeah.
So 2020, he kept on saying it, that, you know what, it doesn't matter even if you're home, you're going to go to school.
Yeah.
2020, he manages, and I'm able to go back.
Yeah.
So he takes me to KIU, and literally KIU is Kampala International University.
Yeah.
To do a course I never thought I'd do in this planet. I was supposed to do industrial chemistry.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And he's like, yeah, and I had agreed. I'm like, where life has taken me right now, maybe this is the door that was being opened for me.
Yeah.
It took 2 weeks after that event happening.
Yeah.
My dad I was in school. He called.
Yeah.
Dad has passed. My brother, that is.
Oh, sorry.
He was home with him. It just happened so suddenly, and the condition is called dilated cardiomyopathy.
Okay.
It's a heart condition that is caused sometimes even by the prolonged drinking,
Yeah.
where the left ventricle dilates and it's not able to circulate blood all over the body.
Yeah.
So now you realize, after all that period, I never even had that time to get that point of closure with my old man.
Yeah.
I felt like him taking me to school was closure for him.
Yeah.
Because probably that is what he had wanted to do all along.
Yeah.
So that is now where I'm at. So 2020 happens, and now I'm realizing, I used to say that I'm living like an orphan, and now I actually am.
Yeah.
So now after that, lockdown in Uganda.
Yeah.
We can't move. I can't come back to Kenya. I can't do anything. So I stayed with my siblings in a small house somewhere off the outskirts, a place I could afford.
Yeah.
And I was supported by family through that period as well to try and make things meet.
Try and make things meet.
Yeah.
So eventually, how did you end up coming back to Nairobi?
So later that year, after living with my siblings, which was actually, I always call this fatherhood 101 in my life to some extent, because I got to understand what it's like to actually be in his shoes.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Because now you find that you're the eldest in the house. My siblings were teenagers at that time.
Yeah.
I think Form 2, Form 1.
Yeah.
So you're the one who has to, do things.
Yeah.
Have you eaten? Have you did malaria? Who's sick? Who's not sick? Let's take you to hospital. And it's lockdown, so you're walking to that hospital. It's not that there's a ride or anything.
Yeah, you're taking public.
And then also you're in another country. Yeah. It's you now to be firm around the home, have good rapport with the people around.
Yeah.
I learned a bit of Luganda, just enough to enable me to survive and get by in the shops and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's what I was going through. So at the end of that year, I end up coming back. It was just family's call. They were like, look, for your siblings, it makes sense because their mom was in the country, but she was in a different place. Oh. She wasn't allowed to come into Kampala.
Okay, yeah.
So once the restrictions eased, they were able to meet with my brother and sister. And so once my brother and sister went to her, I came back to Nairobi.
Okay.
When I came here, I didn't know what I was really coming to do afterwards. I thought I would just go back to KU to do law.
Yeah.
And then one day I just got a random call, and they were like, I remember you used to do something media related at USIU.
This is family.
Yeah. Can you go there and find out what they're still doing?
Yeah.
So I come back and I asked them, hey, is it possible for me to come back and redo and pick it up from where I left off? And they were like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And now I found myself now taking the perspective of, all these things have happened to me.
Yeah.
I never want to be silent about this issue.
Okay.
Ever again.
Okay.
Because when I came back, even my friends, my very own friends, did not know what had happened to me in Uganda.
Yeah.
So, and this is bad, this is more of my fault.
Yeah.
I felt like at some point, I didn't know how to tell them.
Yeah.
I'm with them and they're asking me, yo, how's your pops? And I'm like, now do I start the story or do I?
It's a long one.
So I felt awkward, it felt confusing.
Yeah.
But I also thought about it and I was like, young guys out here, especially men, you're carrying so much. If you met me out there, you'd probably think that, you know, this kid is acting like he's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't know where that is coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I realized so many guys especially. Ladies, you're lucky. I don't want to make an assumption, but I think you talk more than guys do.
Yeah, because you open up more. Okay.
Yeah. So I opened up as a means of also therapy to myself. That I didn't want to go through life carrying this burden.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, if you were to start a relationship, how do you now drop that? Oh, by the way, do you know this is yeah. So I was like, no, I have to take time to address these things that I've been heaping since my mom passed and clear that air until
Where would you say you are today?
Right now I am. So I was able to pick it up 2021. Right now I'm a broadcast journalism student. I am almost about to finish.
Okay, that's
Thank
nice.
God.
That's nice, yeah.
So by this time next year, if everything goes well, I'll have the paper. I'll have the degree that both my parents, I believe in heaven, would have wanted to see me have.
Yeah.
And I continue to do the good work, continue motivating people. I will continue making music, as always. That is the love of my heart.
Yeah.
But talking to young guys where I can, using any platform that I can get, such as this one. So thank you as well for giving me that opportunity to just ensure that I can reach as many people as possible and tell them that, you know, you're not alone in this thing. And irrespective of how your struggle looks like, because mine, I think, is coming from a different perspective that I once had, now I do not.
Yeah.
And maybe that happens to people at different points. Maybe 30, you lose a job and things like that happen to you.
Yeah.
But it's not the end.
And just to add on that, could you briefly just tell us what's the one thing that you can tell someone out there who's maybe struggling, someone who's looking at your story and they're looking for hope? What's the one thing you've picked from your journey that you can share with them today as we conclude? Okay.
I think nothing in this life happens by chance.
Okay.
And anything that happens to you is as a form of, it has a purpose that it's meant to drive.
Okay.
If you would have asked me a few years ago whether I would have ended up back in the same place where I started, the school that I fought to go to, I would have told you that you're crazy. I can never go back to that school.
Yeah.
But I think there is value in trying to understand what it is that is happening.
Yeah.
But because there's no easy way of dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can do is try and mitigate it. So like now for me, during the time I struggled, when I felt like I was trapped to some extent, I would escape through the music.
Yeah.
So if you find something creative or something that you can always turn to divert your attention, maybe you draw, maybe you sing, maybe you knit clothes, maybe you paint or you imagine ideas or you write. I think it can help you when you're trying to deal with trauma, and it can give you a way to start releasing. Also, I'd recommend journaling. Try and make sense of your world by writing your thoughts down on a piece of paper. You would be shocked you may look at it like way back. I still have my notes from 2019 and be like, wow, this explains a lot of what I was going through, and it can be inspiration for other things. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sally, for coming on the show.
Anytime.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for giving Green Pasture viewers a chance to listen to you.
Anytime.
That has been it for our show today. Thank you, dear viewer, for watching the show. You can find us on all social media platforms at GBS TV Africa. You can also text us at 21144. You can also head over to our social media pages and comment and share your own experiences, and also give us comments about what kind of stories you'd love to see on this show. This is Green Pastures. I am your host, Daisy Atino. Until next time.